I would suspect most of the people playing Escape from Tarkov right now aren't in love with the game right now.
Oh, how could you be?
Yeah.
How could you still be?
Right? So they're just going to work every day suffering. And they might like it at the beginning of a wipe. They might like it when there's a new map for some short period of time. And then...
I mean, granted, they have more fun than we do because they're better than us. So like I could imagine...
I don't agree. Let me lay out my case.
Okay.
If you're twice as good as me, you are only happy if you do at least twice as well as me. You know, like I've been good at games and like, fuck, like a 5KD that game. I mean, that's good, but it doesn't get me what I need. You know, I'm not uploading a 25 and 5 game. Well, I would, but fuck you. But like, you know, like that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be getting these 30 and 2s, 50s and 2s. So even a guy who's much better than me, I don't think he's having more fun. I think his standards are high.
Well, I think we'll see. They've got a whole different, you know, they're streaming it or whatever. So it's, I don't know. I think Landmark just has like way more fun than I do when I play that game.
Landmark goes in a raid, kills 2 or 3 people, gets out, and he's like, nothing happened there. Like that's not I'm looking for. I didn't clear
but it's not
I had that experience super hard with Eve. Like you get this point of every experience needed to be better than the one before, and you run out of things you can do in a game. You know, you get up to you win. I have it on footage somewhere. Like I have it on my YouTube somewhere. I won a 10v1 in Eve versus 10 players versus me, a 10v1 in this game, right? And it's a strategy space game, so it's not all fucking Twitch reflexes kind of deal, right? I win this 10v1. How do you best that?
Right.
Like, you hit that kind of mark there. And like if all your experiences are only defined again by surpassing that mark, then the higher and higher percentage of your experience is just not going to be that.
That's what I think happens. Do you agree with me? Like if you win a 4v1 now, are you like, well, I mean, that was good, but
thankfully I haven't played that game in a long time, but yes, that kind of thing happens. This is part of why I think for me, at least the way I engage with games, at some point I've done it all in that game. And even in multiplayer, you get there. Multiplayer makes it a lot longer of an experience. There's a lot more fighting back. There's a lot more adapting of the opponent. But at some point, you get to a point you go, I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. That's not interesting to me anymore. That doesn't trigger the same interest in the game for me. It doesn't make me finish the game, put it down, thinking about strategies and like live in that moment again. It's time to move on. And that
not everyone needs to have fun at their job. I think it's interesting. I don't even know if it's good or bad. It could probably be good that you are unwilling to not enjoy your job.
I think this job is a weird one for that because, and maybe it's in part because of size, right? Like I'm not sitting here on some multi-million-dollar channel, right? Like I'm not sitting here where like where if I log into League of Legends again today, you know, my sponsor comes up to me tomorrow and says, hey, for a 2-hour slot, we'll give you 50K or 100K or some ridiculous number, right? Like I'm a much smaller channel than that. So I think it's probably, you know, it's what is your cost? What are you worth? What is your buyout point? And probably this has not reached that level in my career for that, where it just feels like this one in particular, I don't fake well. I'm just not good at that personality wise.
But I think you're saying if the money was really big, I would do it even though I didn't want to.
I think
but
it's
it kind of goes
thing.
The other way too. Like
how much are you pushing on that scale, right? So like for me, the cost of change is a significant portion of my viewers. It's a chunk of money. It's a big amount of money in my life, but it's not the same pressure on the scale I think that some of these big content creators have if they change.
I think it's pressure at the bottom too. Like I'm not talking about you and specifically here, but if I'm barely scraping by, I can't take a downward trend. I have to do this.
I don't understand how those. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
But this is. I don't feel like I only have Twitch as an option to do something. It would be a pain in the ass to change my career. Like, you know, I'd have to figure out what the fuck I wanted to do. Then I have to go back and do some degree of training for that in all likelihood, you know, even if it were a refresher on the stuff that I already have degrees in or whatnot. But I don't feel trapped in Twitch. I'm not sitting here going like it's this or nothing. And perhaps that would be more of the case if that were true. So for me, part of this goes, I'm doing this because this is something I chose and want to do. And I want to keep shaping that experience and moving that experience better towards that. But I could leave. I could walk away from it if I had to, right?
I see. That's the difference.
I think so.
Yeah. Shit, I don't know. I don't think I played Minecraft longer. I'm sorry, not Minecraft. Call of Duty longer than I wanted to. I think something better came along and like crushed it for me.
Probably played it more often than we wanted to. at times.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I remember I was playing free for alls and I was in my chopper gunner like trying to get the nuke.
Mhm.
And I was in the game chat talking to the guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get this nuke. The last game, somebody killed me when I was in the chopper gun. He's like, oh, for real? It's like, well, get it, buddy. And you can see him like run out of his hiding spot, and I like mow him down. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, thank you so much. Like, because the previous game, I had been, somebody just found my body operating the thing and killed me and cut
Oh,
so I had to get the nuke. But yeah, there was a lot of times where it's like, God damn it, I just want to get this thing done. I don't want to play this game mode even. I want to play by myself. I want to go like play with my friends and actually have fun at the game.
It happens mid-session for me sometimes. I'll be playing the game and mid-session I'll hit that wall and I'll be like, I don't want to play this game anymore. And it's for me, it's nearly instantaneous. And again, I don't fake well. So I can maybe push it like through the end of that session if I'm lucky. Maybe I'll try something. Like I do a lot of challenge runs or modded runs or community challenge, this type of shit, because I'm trying to make it interesting and fresh for me. Because at some point it won't.
Which game is this we're talking about right now?
Games.
Oh, okay.
So like I have a bunch of ages ago I did Darkest Dungeon challenge runs with Battle Brothers. I've done challenge runs or different origins or self-restrictions or this type of stuff. Because at some point I don't do well with the same again, inevitably. And some people seem to be fine with that. Like I have a buddy of mine, Jorbs, who's a bigger streamer than me, who does Slay the Spire and has been doing Slay the Spire for 3 or 4 years now. That game's a great game. I probably got 600 hours of content in it, and he's probably over 5K hours on that, right? So that game for me, it would be mind-numbing. He described it as, for him, and who knows, there could be some bullshit in here, but maybe not too, right? He described it as a perfect game for him. It's not about even the individual parts of the game anymore. He likes the chillness of it. He likes the way the mechanics are built, likes the difference between the runs. I couldn't do that. So maybe there's some personality in there too. But for me, it's just like at some point I hit a wall in a game and it's time to move on. And if I don't,
I can keep doing the same mechanic almost forever, as long as they give me like a new aesthetic to go along with it. Like I need new maps and new places to explore. And just new shit to go along with it. Like with Vermintide, like we would just grind that game every fucking day. And the only thing that got old, it wasn't killing rats. That never got old. It was, I'm just really tired of this map. Like we played this map 3 times today. It's like, yeah, we've been playing for 8 fucking hours. That's the rotation. Like we played all the maps today.
It's a limiting of options for me. I don't want to do the same thing for the same reasons with the same outcomes repeatedly. So like the games that have a lot of depth, what they've offered are lots of different ways to an objective, right? And this is why Civ was so long on my channel for such a long period of time, because it's a free for all, which was a really dynamic situation. There's a lot of shit that changes with 6 players in there, all human, all of varying degrees of skill, all of chasing different objectives, which weren't always to win, especially when you're playing with streamers. So managing that. And then a game that was fairly complicated in terms of the number of mechanics going on and the number of different things you could do in that game, with also additional human modding, right? So that kept that game lively for me for a long time. Like single player Civ, I never even liked fucking single player Civ. I have maybe 5 or 6 full runs on YouTube of single player Civ, and that's it. That's about all I could stand of that game for single player, because it wasn't the path to victory was so linear and so one dimensional. So in Civ 5.
There are lots of ways to win in Civ 5.
The higher the difficulty, which is inevitably what your audience wants to see. Roger. So God forbid, I get some Battle Brothers pushback on this. God forbid you play anything except the highest difficulty on all of the settings for that, which is fine, except when the game isn't fucking balanced for that, right? Mm-hmm. When it becomes, a lot of times games, when you put pressure on them and sometimes you see this in single player, but a lot of times in multiplayer, but certainly single player, when you turn up the difficulty, if the difficulty gets really, really, really high, a lot of times what happens is the route to victory shrinks and shrinks and shrinks to a very, very straight path. And
what is it?
Super boring.
In Civ, how do you
in win? Civ, it's population for science, small traditions, so you don't piss off a bunch of AI. Population for science. Science gets you to space. Space is your cheapest victory, quickest victory to get out of there. That's the basic summary for that. So,
okay. So
yeah. You don't want to grind against the AI in a never-ending war forever.
No, especially when the AI has stacked production. Like they have a bunch of cheater bonuses, right? Their stuff costs less. It's not as impactful. They start ahead. You're always behind to begin with.
That's part of the difficulty, I guess.
Yeah. So players is more interesting because you start on flat foot. You start on a flat footing with everybody. So now what? And especially free for alls. Because free for all is a
Attack
good.
Filthy. He's a streamer.
Yeah, that's certainly a part of it. So how do you set up a game where like I'm not playing optimally? If I'm playing single player, I play differently when I play multiplayer. Multiplayer is a lot about surviving the stupidity of the people around me, or at least the So, which was funny because Kyle and I played a game one time, and Civ. I streamed this, right, and I think and there was a bunch of PKA fans in there, and it was like, and like my audience is like, oh, Kyle's just getting away with like having everyone attack you, and you're like acting like he's friendly with you, and I'm like, I know this is happening, but I can't do anything about it. If 4 people are stupid enough to throw their game into attacking me and he's going to sit back and win on that, all I can do is I can attempt to make them see the light. They don't see the light. I'm fucked. So be it. I'll spend them off and kill.
You're never going to convince them that like, dude, I know you've put everything into those catapults, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's like what you really mean is like, you should quit. You should quit. You fucked up.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I do think about that a lot, Woody. And this last year has been really a shitty year for me, streaming wise. So like it's been in my head a lot about what do you do with that? What do you do with the highs of streaming? What do you do with the lows of streaming?